Well, hello everybody, good afternoon. A little impromptu show. There was a lot of WhatsApp rumours flying about this morning, but again, WhatsApp rumours are WhatsApp rumours. But it turns out these ones are true. Kevin Thelwell and Patrick Stewart have been sacked by Rangers, or probably more correctly, sacked by Andrew Kavanagh and Parat Maraf. This puts a lot of questions to bed, i.e., is Thelwell picking a team? Well, obviously he wasn't. Is Thelwell untouchable? Obviously, no, he wasn't. What's it going to be like going into January with Thelwell with the purse strings? Well, he's not going to. So, yes, some, I would imagine for 99.999% of Rangers supporters, and I don't pretend to speak for any, but I'd imagine this is very, very happy news. And joining me today to speak about it is our Alex. That is actually a miniature house that Alex is in. And our Alan. Alex, how are you?
Gutted, mate. Gutted. I can't believe they're gone. So upset, you know. I'm the 0.1%. Just can't believe it. No, I think it's news that it's been a long time coming, to be fair. I think that a lot of fans probably expected Stewart and Thelwell to go when Russell Martin was sacked. The fact that they kept their job for longer showed that there was maybe they were on a tightrope, but there was a bit of faith that they could turn it around. They probably had conversations about January, and it's not lined up with what the club want to do going forward. So it's right, here's your P45, off you go.
And Alan, for some reason, reporting from the San Siro. Alan, mate, how are you? And what's your reaction to the news?
Buongiorno. No, I absolutely buzzing, to be honest. As Alex said, it's long overdue. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Thelwell, the writing was on the wall as soon as he came out and said that Russell Martin's one of the best coaches he's ever worked with. And we're just sitting there like, what planet is this guy on? Absolutely. And then obviously Patrick Stewart, even at Danny Rill's announcement, Patrick Stewart was very sheepish and looked like a naughty schoolboy in the detention room. So the writing was on the wall, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Snooker, this news is on par with Scotland making the World Cup. All joking aside, Alex, though, this is really big news for Rangers supporters. We were petrified about Kevin Thelwell again getting into January to spend more money. So this is massive news.
It's massive, and it's one of those ones. Usually, you get news like this after a defeat, and it's reactionary. That you get a defeat, they come out and the folk get sacked. Must have been a few conversations that they've had with Kavanagh and Meringue, and they've gone, "Nah, you're just not lining up with what we want to do going forward." But it's massive news for the club because we're hoping that it's going to be very, very different in terms of January, because we were all wondering what we were going to get if we were going to get another Yusuf Chimiti, where it was going to be 8 million spent on a player because that's what they're used to down in England, spending it on what they can see as a project, when actually it's a record signing, and we're spending that kind of money that on a flop. So you've got to hope that come January in the next few weeks, although they've already said they're looking at candidates, they've had interviews already. It's January's massive now. We're already talking about it. We were talking about it last night, and we've talked about it a few times, that we need in certain players, and nobody had any confidence at all in Kevin Thelwell being able to go out and pick the right players, or players that could just work. So you've got to hope that whoever comes in is able to have the conversations with Danny Rule almost instantly about what he needs and who he has identified, and go get them. It can't just be, let's just throw more money at it and hope that this is going to solve the problem.
And also, David makes a great point here, Alan. It's fantastic news. It's a new slate mentally for the fans to support the club fully.
100%. And what it says to me as well is, all this time I've been kind of worried about Kavanagh. Is he the man that's going to make those tough decisions? We know that Marat done it at Leeds, and that's fine. But is Kavanagh going to make those hard decisions at us, those kind of tough decisions like this one, and he has done? So that kind of puts a bit more trust in him from the fans as well. It's us saying, right, we definitely back you. You're willing to make these decisions, and see exactly the results on the pitch. are not what they should be. Even though obviously they've been better since Danny Rule came in. But how many of those Thelwell transfers or signings have actually made a positive impact consistently? Maybe Gassama. That's about it, really. And how many did they make? Was it 12, 13, 14 signings?
14,
Whatever it
I
was.
think it was 14, yeah.
Aye. So him making that decision at this point in time, when we've had a good run, as Alex said, it's not reactionary. It's a measured decision that he's made. So it's definitely one that's going to get all his fans back on board. Sorry.
And I mean, I've seen so many comments now, Alex, talking about Robbie Thelwell and does he keep his job? Well, if you believe what Kevin Thelwell told you in that last sort of press conference, Danny Rowe's press conference, that it was agreed with the board. So I would imagine if it was agreed with the board, I would imagine Robbie Thelwell stays where he is.
Well, I mean, Kevin Thelwell and Patrick Stewart were agreed by the board, and they're away, so you don't know about Robbie. Maybe he's going to be joining his father and off he goes, but we've not really seen much of Robbie Thelwell to be able to make a judgment call. The reaction since Danny Rowe's come in has been pretty positive towards him. Fans are behind him, but in that same time, when we're all positive towards Danny Rowe, we're all singing from the same hymn sheet that we want Stewart and Thelwell gone. That hadn't changed. A lot of people thought that because the way Danny Rowe had come in, obviously he'd made a good start. Some of the results hadn't gone his way, but he'd made a good start. Got players looking like they were getting back to their old selves, and actually playing for the team. The consensus was that would that then maybe be a catalyst to keep them in their job? Well, thankfully it's not, and there's been the conversation that they need to go. So you can say that they've made this decision. If Robbie is going to keep his job, he's going to have to do a lot to keep it, because in his dad's reputation, it's not going to be a good start for him if he's going by. He's been recommended by his dad. They've had the interviews because he doesn't get recommended to Rangers unless Kevin Thelwell has got any sort of influence on that appointment. So he's the one that's obviously made the recommendation. He said they went through interviews, but we heard from no other candidates being mentioned other than Robbie Thelwell. So the name, one, is going to be tainted at the club because of what's happened over the past 6 months. But he's also got a massive job to do to be able to keep his job.
He does. He really does. And Junkie, thank you very much. This news deserves a super chat. So thank you very much, channel member. Junkie, if you want to help support the show as well by becoming a member, you can do so now. Links are in the description. Loads and loads and loads of extra shows, and we'll be doing a much deeper dive into the Thelwell and Stewart saga over on the YouTube membership pages and Patreon as well. But Chunky, thank you very, very much. Another massive positive to come out of this, by the way, that I'm hoping that more people will discuss, is that he gets a new club quickly and then signs Chermiti, because that's what he does, and every club he goes to, he just signs Chermiti. So hopefully that's something that might happen. And Cassie as well.
Chermiti's going to turn into Alvaro Morata at this point. He's going to become one of the highest signed players of all time, because he's just going to get signed everywhere Kevin Thelwell goes.
Pretty much. And by the way, Bear in the Big Blue House, I can't repeat that. Your comment over on Patreon, I can't bring that up, but I think you're not the only one. And Cassie's saying another transfer window where we have no setup in place. Alan, my thinking is, because as Alex mentioned it earlier, it's not like they've been sacked on the back of a loss or anything. So, and maybe I'm completely out of whack here, but I think they've been looking in the background for new people to come in, and they're close to it, and that's why Thelwell and Stewart are now gone. I could be completely wrong, but that's my thinking.
I think you're bang on. They've obviously been doing their due diligence on somebody or some people all this time while they've been building up to make this decision. So I think they'll have someone in mind who they bring in. Obviously, I've got no idea. But this then kind of begs the question, what's going to happen to Dan Purdy? Is his jotters up with, because obviously Thelwell brought him in as well. And obviously you've got your academy of youth football coming in January. He's not even started yet. Who used to work with Thelwell down at Wolves. So it'll be interesting to see how this impacts them. But I'm not concerned about January. Kavanagh, he's no daft. He'll definitely have somebody in mind. I wouldn't be surprised if he's interviewed said person already for the job. So I'm not concerned about that one, but
No, and I suppose it would appear that we're going into January, Alex, with no director of football or no sporting director and no CEO. But like I just says to Al, I can't believe that Kavanagh and Marath would just up and decide, right, we're getting rid of them when you're on the 24th of November and you're getting ever closer to that transfer window.
Aye, they no just woke up and went, do you know what, let's just sack them in a day. That's what we want. We're going to have the cornflakes, get the paper out, right, let's get them sacked. No, I agree with Alan. They've definitely thought about this for a while. They've done the due diligence and thought, right, best time to get them gone now, pave the way for new people to come in. What we might see, though, is that Danny Rule actually gets more of a say on the January transfer window rather than it being Kevin Thelwell, especially if somebody's not going to be in the door quickly. They might, you never know, it might be next couple of days we actually hear that we've got a new director of football and a CEO, but I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see Danny Rule getting more of the signings, because I think that was one of the things he wanted to be involved in, and he made it clear from the start that he wanted to, and then Kevin Thelwell said that the conversations that he would be involved right to the last bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if he actually gets more of a say on the players that come in, or if it's just going to be we wait until a director of football comes in, they get to make that decisions. Because the longer you leave it, the more it's going to be a panic buy situation rather than actually getting in the quality players that we want in January.
Yeah. I'll read out the club statement, which will take me all of 4 seconds. But Rangers Football Club confirms it has parted company with CEO Patrick Stewart and Sporting Director Kevin Thelwell. Rangers express its sincere gratitude to both Patrick and Kevin for the leadership and unwavering commitment to the club. Chairman Andrew Kavanagh and Vice Chairman Parag Marath have already begun the search process, and until permanent hires are made, Director Fraser Thornton will assume the role of acting CEO. So short and sweet and to the point. There has been some other sort of quotes from Kavanagh along the lines of, we want people that align with the vision for the next chapter. I will not throw dirt on either of them. I think very highly of them, both on personal and professional levels. It's just the reality that the club needs different things today than it did 6 months ago. Alan, yeah, it's not very well good coming out and saying that, but why didn't you sack them 6 months ago or 3 months ago or 2 months ago or after the start of the season with the way that the players have been played? We could turn this into well, why didn't they do this sooner, right? Which I think is probably a conversation for a different day. I think we're just glad that they've done it.
definitely. And I think on that statement that you mentioned, they did say it was something along the lines of they wanted to sort out the football side first. So that was getting rid of Russell Martin and appointing Danny Rule. And now that that kind of side is settled down a little bit, now's the time to obviously sack they two. Now the football side is settled down. So maybe that's a part of it. Obviously, we'll never know for sure. One thing I picked up on in that statement as well was that he said that anybody and everybody who gets a chance to make a difference or something along those lines, which kind of indicates to me that Robbie Thelwell, Dan Purdy, etc. will get that chance to prove that they are up to the job before any decisions are made. But we'll wait and see what happens with that. I kind of mind to point out in the chat, but obviously Robbie will still be on his probation, so he'll be easy enough to get shot of if that's what they wanted to do. But as for Dan Purdy and the rest of them, then I'm not sure, to be honest.
And just finally, Alex, because we are back at 5 p.m. tonight, by the way, folks, for your Rangers news show, which no doubt will discuss Thelwell and Patrick Stewart. This is obviously just immediate reaction. In terms of the supporters, then, Alex, what does this do for us? And does this? I'm trying to find the right terminology, the right way to ask the question. Does this reinvigorate our confidence in Kavanagh and Marath?
Slightly. I think it does slightly. I think the only reason I would say slightly is because I think of how long it took. I think that you could have done it at the 3 months point when you sacked Russell Martin, because because the results weren't going our way. Now I get that would bring so much instability to the club because you're then getting rid of your first team coach, your director of football, and just also then it becomes a bit difficult. But the fact that they have reacted, I think they've listened to fans, because the fans have been screaming it for a while now that they need to go, and they don't have any confidence in them being able to run the club. The way the signings they've made, as Alan alluded to as well, the players they brought in haven't been good enough. So I do think it is going to start aligning the fans back to the club, but it's going to be purely results driven. Martin, it's going to have to be that we see the players coming in that are going to be good enough. The results going our way, the trophies coming in that we were promised from day one when the 49ers and Andrew Kavanagh took over. That's what's going to instill the confidence fully that we are being run in the right direction. But it's a step, and it's fully a step in the right direction. We can't say that it's not. It's just going to take time.
Yeah, and Alan, as Gallant's saying, it demonstrates Kavanagh's not afraid to pull the trigger when performance is below par. And Great Wall of Canada, is this off the back of Rolls traffic light assessment of the squad that Thelwell has gone? Clearly a red light. But yeah, I mean, it does demonstrate that Kavanagh isn't afraid to make the big decisions, albeit maybe just a wee bit too late. But then we're not businessmen, so we don't know what goes on behind the scenes.
No, see, as fans, right, in an ideal world, we all would have wanted Martin to go after Bruges at home, and obviously he never. He stayed, and that's still harming us to this day. But I think Kavanagh, this is part of a learning process for Kavanagh as well, and he's admitted that he underestimated the size of the job at hand. So this is more evidence that he's learning, and he's learning to make the right decisions at the right time, in my opinion, and it could only be a positive thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Brian's saying, is this departure because of the transfer plans in January, or seen previous transfers that aren't good enough? Probably a bit of both, Brian. And we all said he'll live and die on the Chermiti signing, and Chermiti had to come in and hit the ground running for him, and he hasn't. Not to say that Chermiti then won't come good and won't become the £10 million striker that we hope he can be. He might, he absolutely might, not giving up on him yet, but he had to hit the ground running for Thelwell, and he didn't. But folks, listen, that will do us for just now. Like I say, we are back at 5 p.m. tonight. My thanks to Alex and Alan for jumping out of their work to quickly join me. Please do like, share, and subscribe. Get your comments below as well on what you think of the sacking of Thelwell and Stewart. I've yet to see one comment that says they should have been given more time. But we'll wait and see if any of them come in. And if you want to help out the podcast a little bit more and help us grow, you can become a member now. Links are in the description. Get up to at least 10 episodes, 10 shows, I should say, a week extra. And that is at least 10 shows. So thank you for all the support, folks. Alex, Alan, thank you very much for joining me.
Okay.
And we'll see you hopefully all back here at 5 p.m.